listening to the Loveish Podcast, and I'm your host, Seida Hood, a licensed clinical social worker. Each week, I'm going to help you to develop the belief and strategy necessary to make an immediate impact on the world by deep diving into topics like mental wellness, faith, relationships, and love. I should mention before we hop into the show, this is not a substitute for a relationship with a licensed therapist. You ready? Let's get it! Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Loveish Podcast. I am your host, Seida Hood. I am so excited to have you with me this week. This week's episode, I wanted to talk to you about a movie that maybe you have seen, maybe you have not seen. I know we do media queens. Shout out to all my media queens that holler at me in my DMs and in the internet streets about what you guys are listening to, watching, etc. I thoroughly enjoy those discussions, but I want to know if you've ever seen the movie How Stella Got Her Groove Back. I know that we think that the movie is all about the guy, but I thought it was a unique truth that we could learn from Stella. And so I got onto Instagram Live and I started talking about this last week. So side note, if you want to watch that live, you can go ahead and watch that live. And I thought it might be good to bring the lesson to the podcast too. And the lesson that I pulled from that is when we're talking about this concept of healing, of walking in your purpose, of becoming the woman that you were designed to be, of stepping into your bigger vision that God gave you, ultimately, it's about your belief and your choices. And you can only go as far as you believe you can. I believe it was Henry Ford who said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And basically what that means is that if I believe that I can accomplish something, I can do it. If I believe that I can't do something, I'm going to have a hard time getting it done. So I know you probably like, okay, how does this tie into Stella? Well, you know, we've already established this. There's a movie about a woman named Stella. And Stella believed that she was trapped in her current life. She had checked all the boxes, marriage, children, successful career, literally all the boxes. And she still felt something was missing. Stella didn't believe that her life could change. She felt like she was in a rut, but deep down inside, she knew that life was about so much more. But she struggled to believe that life outside of these societal norms was actually possible for her. So if you've seen the movie, then you know that her best friend takes her on a trip to Jamaica, beautiful, gorgeous, sunny Jamaica, sandy beaches, bright blue water, drinks poolside, and just pretty much a life of luxury for the duration of the trip. So Stella decides to wake up early and go for a run. She's got that good runner's high going when she gets back, and she spots a handsome young man, Taye Diggs. And she decides that she's going to do adult things, right? And she challenges herself to be brave enough to do that because initially, when she meets Taye Diggs, her response is, I'm old enough to be your mother, right? Like all the jokes about being old enough to be, to have birthed him. Until he checks her and he's like, okay, cool out with all of that stuff. So he challenges her to be brave and to see herself beyond societal norms, to believe that her vision for her life mattered, to believe that she doesn't have to stay stuck. All she has to do to change her life is to lean in and believe it's possible. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. In the end, Stella breaks all of her unspoken rules placed on her by society. She chooses to believe that who she is and what she wants matters, and she ends up happy. Stella chose to see herself worthy of the things that she desired. Even after checking all the boxes, Stella realized that life would always be about believing in the seemingly impossible option. Becoming the her that she fantasized about came down to one simple thing: choice. She's pretty much confused the entire movie, but when she simply decided to believe that she had options and then to choose the option she thought suited her best, she was happy. So I guess I'd like to pose a question to you today. What are you choosing to believe about your current reality? Because the reality is, everybody was happy and they were thinking like, oh, she got Tay Diggs. That's how she got her groove back. No, she got her groove back because she started to believe in herself. She started to find herself. She figured out what she wanted. She broke through the expectations that other people put on her life and chose to follow her bigger vision. So I would ask, are you stuck in a pattern of believing that your current reality is what you have to accept? I know God gave you vision. You know God gave you vision. It's not a coincidence that we've been talking about healing this entire time. And it's not a coincidence that you, yes, you, have been listening to all these episodes. I see you squeezing in time to listen to the episode, running it back so you can get the most out of it. That's not a coincidence. You're doing that because you feel called to something greater. If I were to guess, only you can answer these questions. Maybe life is very chaotic for you right now. Maybe you carry feelings of unworthiness that you never really express to people. You put on a mask every day and you show up for other people, but in reality, you are afraid to show up for you. You are afraid to believe that people will accept the real you. You are terrified that thought that's been floating in your head that your voice doesn't matter, that thought might be true. You have these big ideas and this big vision that you believe God gave to you, and you feel it so strongly. It's literally feels like it's like right in front of you and you can reach out and touch it. But you're stuck, caught in the land of indecisiveness, lacking focus, and afraid to wholeheartedly show up, to wholeheartedly plunge into that area that you feel called to. I know that a lot of you listening feel like that. Let me just be a voice of reason for you very briefly. I believe that every woman is handcrafted to make an immediate impact on the world. That means that your impact, your voice, your showing up is not reserved for when you become this woman 20 years down the line. Imagine all the lives you could have impacted from today on down to 20 years down the line. That's not how we're designed. We're not designed to wait until we reach a certain point and then, oh yeah, now it's time for me to walk in my calling. No. Holy Spirit is always cultivating things within us. And in that, we have a choice. We have a choice to step up and lean into where he's calling us to, or we have a choice to shrink back and believe the lie that we don't matter. So I want to affirm for you today, you do matter. Your voice matters. The way that you show up in your family matters. The way that you show up on your job matters. No one can do what you do. No one possesses the unique skills and the gifts and the way that you talk to people but you. I was talking to a woman last week who was talking about a desire to become a writer. And she said, I want to be a writer. I do, but I have a fear. I believe that every woman is handcrafted to make a unique impact on the world. I believe that women are born with their purpose deeply rooted inside of them. They only need to unlock it. I see you today. I see you waiting for other people to tell you what your life's purpose is and how to get there. I see you walking around feeling utterly exhausted and drained from supporting everyone around you. You have literally achieved so much, but you never stop to celebrate because it just doesn't feel like enough. You don't even tell people that you're walking around struggling to exist. What if you could unlock not only your life purpose, but the strategy to help you walk boldly into your next season? Would you be brave enough to take the leap? I'm Seida Hood, a licensed clinical social worker, and I want to invite you to join me at the Pink Emerald Retreat, where I help innovative women just like you to unlock their purpose and step boldly into the next season of their lives. At this intimate weekend retreat, you're going to learn how to speak with authority, to show up boldly in any environment, to walk more confidently, embracing your God-given identity, to develop life strategies that keep you productive in any season of life. We're talking big picture and day-to-day life here, and so much more. Not to mention, you will have a private room complete with a soaker tub and other amazing amenities, discounted services at the on-site spa, and access to nearby attractions in one of the most prominent suburbs of Illinois. Ready to book your luxury stay? Register now at thepinkemerald.com/retreat or click the link in the show notes. When are you going to stop pretending like you're Superwoman? Yes, I know you believe if you don't do it, it won't get done. Take a deep breath and pause with me for a moment here. You're doing too much. You know it and I know it. Let's stop pretending and get you some relief starting today. Do you set weekly wellness goals? If not, you've got to start. No more leaving yourself last on your to-do list. I want you to download the Confident Bae app and start using the weekly wellness tracker now. It's 100% free to use, and it comes with a digital journal to help you process thoughts and feelings on the go. You can even meet a tribe of like-minded women inside of Bae's Digital Cafe. I'm serious. Take off your cape, take a deep breath, and download the app at thepinkemerald.com/app or hit the link in the show notes. She said she had this fear of becoming more successful than her father, and also that the market was oversaturated and no one would really care for her stories. So I talked to her and I said, unfortunately, we do have parents that sometimes compete with their kids, but I think that most parents at their core, on a conscious or subconscious level, want their children to do better than them. But even if that were not the case, what if you're the next $1 billion author? Are you actually going to sit on that? And yes, the market is heavily oversaturated. That's true. But there is a unique set of people that need to hear your voice in your writing. They need to read what you have. They need to hear your experiences. Your experiences unlock their destiny. their purpose. I've said it before on the podcast. I've said it in several of my lives. I read Marshawn Evans Daniels' Believe Bigger. Highly recommend that book. Changed my life. And in that book, she said that your voice is the key to unlock another woman's destiny. So you have to remember that. Like, yes, the market is probably oversaturated. Yes, there's a million different writers. It's so easy to self-publish. But ultimately, the question and the concern is not about all of that. The question and the concern is, will you say yes? Not only to your purpose, not only to your future, but to the future of those people that are also attached to you. See, your assignment is not just about you. It's not just about putting yourself out there and doing things that make you happy. That's part of it because it's the way that God designed you and curated you. But ultimately, your voice is about bringing souls into the kingdom. How does this bring glory and honor to God? How I show up, how do I honor God in that? Who I am, how do I honor God in that? Because you were knit together in your mother's womb. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are a life changer. You are a visionary. You are chosen. You have purpose. You have been called for such a time as this. Just like Esther, there is no one else that can do this assignment. So you have to step into it. You have to lean into it. You have to believe that your life can change. And then you have to walk by faith. Commit to the vision, walk by faith. I am not going to do what I'm loving this week because I'm just loving all of it. And this was kind of like an impromptu episode on Stella here. Totally not planned. I just thought it was super dope to talk about this movie because it's one of my favorite movies. But really, settle with that question. Journal with that question. What am I afraid of? What do I believe about my current reality? What is the big vision that I feel drawn to, that I feel called to? What's the purpose that is inside of me? Sit with that. And per usual, if you guys want to talk to me on social media about it, I am always all ears. Tag me that you've been listening to the podcast and we'll go from there. All right. I want to thank you so much for joining me for this week's episode. Again, I am your host, Seida Hood. It has been my pleasure hosting you this week on the podcast. In today's episode, we talked about how Stella really got her groove back. We know some folks that haven't listened to this episode think she got her groove back because she got the man, but that is not the real tea. So if they have questions about what the real tea is, go ahead and share this episode with them. Let them know how you feel about the podcast and then head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. That is all I have for you this week. I will see you out in these social media streets.